EK devs made a statement after, let me just refresh y'all's memory. They increased the pity by 20. They put in a bathtub in the game for $50 and then said 80% sale and put it for $10. They pay gated all of the different dyes for every outfit in Infinity Nikki. They completely retconned the story. Yeah, in Nikki, not Nikki. Yeah, Infinity Nikki. Yeah. That's what you guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. But they just decided, what if we take this amazing game and we make it fucking terrible? And apparently the Infinity Nikki fan base is in flames, and many people are quitting. People are putting in, they're not boycotting. They want to make it very clear they're not boycotting this game. They're girl-cotting, and that term got banned from being used in the Discord because the devs are trying to silence the criticism versus the game. And yeah, they gave out the apology, the usual 10-10-10 apology that devs often do whenever they fuck up. However, they didn't fix any of the things that players wanted them to fix, and apparently now we finally got their response. Let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, they also deducted currency from account. Yeah, true.
Nikki devs finally made a statement. It's been a long 3 weeks since the version 1.5 update dropped, and 2 weeks since I made my first video about the issues. It feels like it's been longer. Involved silence has been deafening, especially because as time passed, even more widespread issues came to light. It's been hard to imagine what the company could possibly do to fix this, but at the same time,
I will say, Momo completely bodies Abby and Paimon. Just want to make that very clear. Momo is the GOAT of side characters in gacha games.
it seemed impossible that they would completely ignore it. That would have been the worst thing they could do.
This actually makes me so sad. I was actually planning a hidden stream where I was going to beat all of Infinity Nikki on stream. That's a shame. I actually really like this game.
Now that they've finally spoken up, let's see whether they've actually addressed any of the problems this time. If you want to understand the context, please go watch my previous video first. I won't revisit all the details, but before we get to their statement, let's quickly list the issues which were covered. Before the update, there was the wishlist issue, where they tried to rug pull the rewards, though at least that one was addressed at the time.
Oh my god. Yeah, so there was a thing where if you sign up, I believe it was 200,000 members. It was originally 100,000 members, you get 20 pulls. And then just as they were about to reach 100,000 members, they pushed it to 200K and said 100K only gets 2 pulls. So that was the biggest rug pull I've ever seen.
The original opening to the game was
I can't believe they got away with that shit.
And replaced with a confusing mess. Most people consider that a retcon, though some are adamant that it doesn't count. Either way, this was just an awful decision. The game also had
Yeah, so they retconned the game. They retconned the game's stories because they wanted multiplayer to make sense in universe, but they could have just said it's a dream whenever you play multiplayer, and everybody would have bought that shit regardless. Nobody on Earth is ever saying, yeah, we need multiplayer to be canon. Nobody fucking cares, right? Nobody fucking cares. Just say, when you go to multiplayer, you go to sleep and you have a dream of this. You don't need to retcon the entire fucking game. It makes no sense.
an insane number of game-breaking bugs, with many people unable to log in, many others effectively unable to play, and pretty much everyone experiencing broken UIs, stuttering, and other constant minor bugs. My fancy fireworks dress is still broken, and customer service has ignored my messages. The monetization changes were awful too. The dying feature turned out to be stupidly expensive, the new outfits increased the gacha pity by 20 pulls, and they also introduced the purchasable bathtub with a fake...
Yeah, so I believe when you got a new dye, you were allowed to universally change the color of every single outfit. Now you have to unlock every color for every outfit specifically. And there's like hundreds of outfits. So it's just like very non-sustainable. And a lot of the dyes that were available just by in-game grinding are now locked behind pay gating as well as event exclusive. Yes, guys, I keep up to date with this a lot. I know you might be surprised. Why do you know so much about Infinity Nikki? Because I actually really like the game. And I think the community is great too.
Discount label, which is illegal in many countries. And finally, they reduced the frequency of the endgame rewards. This particular complaint was addressed in their initial apology, mostly, though it still provides a little less than had been promised at first. Players have been responding to this.
Oh, every color for every item in the outfit, not every outfit. Yeah, that was insane. And then they made outfits take more pieces. I think they went from 7 to 11. And they added in like fake accessories that you'll never see anyways, just to make it longer to get the entire outfit. It's so bullshit.
Via a boycott, renamed a girl cut after the original term was banned from many official forums. This started off fairly mild, but people intended to step it up over time. The final stage, which was planned for this week, was for everyone to stop logging in at all. If that didn't get a response...
Yeah, it was to stop logging in, and then I believe it was also to wait 3 days on pulling on any banner to fuck up future projections.
Many plan to just give up and quit the game entirely.
Yeah.
One that I had missed originally is the that version 1.5 added a time-limited event providing bonus rewards for people who spend real-world money on the game, which was not announced in advance. Many people were upset because they had just spent money buying things in anticipation for the new update. In version 1.4, there were some time-limited bundles people could buy at a discount, a real one this time, which were due to expire when the version changed. So many who enjoyed the game decided to go ahead and stock up in anticipation of the new content. After the update, with the sudden reveal of the extra rewards for spending, all those people had to either spend more or miss out on those extra rewards from the new spending event. If they had known in advance, they may have decided to hold back on their purchases for a few days, but instead we were kept in the dark. It's hard to see any way to interpret this as anything other than cynical greed on the part of Infold. The idea that they might have added this event without advance planning just doesn't seem realistic, and by not announcing the event, they created this situation where some people will feel compelled to spend more than they had originally intended.
Techie knowing so much about my cozy girl game makes me so happy. Well, here's the thing, Chili Millies. They even took away the cozy tag off the Steam store to attempt to make it more universal, which I think is bullshit because we all know people are playing this game for comfort because it's a comforting game.
And another, which I had been unaware of, is the dyeing feature has serious issues as well. Many collars are inaccurate. The underlying color of the clothes is often somewhat visible through the color of the dyes, and in some cases, palettes, which are supposed to be one color, look completely different to what you'd expect. Green swatches looking blue, red looking hot pink, and so on. More concerning, the item colors that are shown in the preview page where you actually buy the palettes and apply them to your outfit sometimes do not match what they look like when you use them in the open world. This hasn't happened to me personally, but if the screenshots I've seen are accurate, they make it pretty clear that this is not just a lighting issue.
Yep.
This may be something which only affects specific hardware, but either way, for those affected, it's a big disappointment, especially considering all those layers of monetization people have to navigate in order to buy a swatch in the first place. When something is that expensive, we have to expect better. Much more concerning than either of those is the currency disappearing from people's accounts. This first started happening
You say disappearing, I say being fucking yoinked.
due to a bug which allowed people to collect more of one currency from the new area, which was supposed to be available in limited amounts per day. This currency
My opinion is if a game-breaking bug ever makes it to where players are getting more than they're supposed to, that's not the player's fault, that's the dev's fault, and the player should not be punished for that. And the players are not guilty for taking advantage of a bug. They're just not. I'm sorry, guys. They're just fucking not. And it's up to the devs to make it right, not for the players to be punished.
is used to unlock the miracle outfit and was time-gated so that it should take months to collect all the pieces. Some people encountered a bug which let them collect the daily rewards twice, though they had no idea it was a bug until Infold immediately released a patch which fixed that issue and removed the extra currency they had collected, even if it put their balance into negatives. Funny to see their priorities there. Shortly afterwards, people started reporting that they were losing other similar in-game currencies, and then people noticed that it began to happen with the really important one, diamonds, this game's premium currency, and not small amounts either. There's no way for me to tell whether these posts were caused by an actual bug or were just due to chargebacks or other transaction issues, but there were many people claiming this happened to them, often despite being free to play, or just not having spent it all on the recent banners. Given all the issues around the game, at this point, most people are inclined to believe this kind of accusation. And since very few people actively keep track of their exact currency numbers, that is not a good suspicion to have lurking in everyone's minds. While Infold were ignoring the outcry, they did continue posting promotional content on their social media. Photo challenges, for example, where players submit photos in the hopes of winning prizes. Obviously, those kinds of things will be run by people whose entire job is to handle marketing, but it just leaves a really bad taste. And in addition, while players were actively leaving negative reviews on places like Steam, tanking the game's score, many spotted...
Yeah, I've heard that the company themselves allegedly botted positive reviews to combat the very real negative reviews, which, in my opinion, should be fucking illegal.
Some really suspicious reviews. Even with just a cursory investigation, it was very clear these were bot accounts paid to give a positive review to prevent the score from plummeting further.
We call that a ho-yo move, by the way. That is a ho-yo move.
Not a good look at all. And finally, there has been ongoing concern about how all of the technical issues have impacted people who bought the monthly Diamond subscription. You can pay a $5 a month to get some premium currency, which appears in your account the first time you log in every day. If you don't log in, you don't get the currency, hence why these subscriptions are usually more reasonably priced. They increase engagement and build up the habit of logging in daily. Many people had an active subscription, but were unable to log in because the game was so utterly broken. They reached out to Infold's customer support, asking for confirmation that once the issues were fixed, anyone who had missed out on their diamonds would be compensated. In recent days, customer service finally replied and said that this was not going to happen and that if it happened in the future, the player should just log in on another device. This is also likely illegal in some countries. The subscription counts as a contract, and if Infold are unable to provide the service that the customer has purchased, it is on them to fix that, not the player. Many people don't have another device which could run the game, so this response is unacceptable. So what did they actually say now that they have finally broken their silence? I'll skip past the apologies and acknowledgements of the fanbase's supposedly unwavering support for the game and focus on the actual substance. They mentioned some things which were pretty...
Love that. Don't let them fluff this shit out.
obvious to anyone that their preparation for the launch of 1.5 was insufficient, and they are responsible for the issues, and addressing them will remain a top priority for the team. As a result of this, they're delaying the release of the next update so that they can focus on...
Wow, that's a fucking slap on the fucking dick. Okay, to fix this, we're gonna punish all the players by not putting out content. Okay, great. All right.
...stability and prevent similar issues from recurring. That's probably for the best, though really, I don't think many people will particularly care about the new content until the problems with the existing direction have been addressed. They also specifically mentioned the issues with the co-op features and will be giving out 360 crystals to all players as compensation.
Bitch, that's it? 360? Bro, Kuro Games would have given every player a yacht. Bro, these players deserve a fucking free 5-star outfit and every pallet unlocked. What is that?
Note that this is just an in-game currency that you can gain by playing the co-op mode, which can be spent on things like poses or some exclusive clothes. Next, they touched on the issues they have encountered throughout the development cycle.
Oh yeah, so as our apology, we're gonna give you half a piece of chewed up bread. We're so sorry. Yeah, bro, absolutely.
Emphasized that these are issues which are unprecedented for their team, and said that they decided to tackle the problems first and only communicate with the fans once they have concrete solutions. I understand where that's coming from, but always think it would be a better approach to publicly acknowledge issues earlier on. Some people would be angry at the lack of clear solutions and feel that it's just empty words, but a large part of most people's frustration comes...
Oh, here's how you fix all the problems in the game, guys. Yeah, you just quit the game. You quit the game. You play something else. Or even better, get a Switch 2. Play some Mario Kart World.
From the silence itself, emphasizing that while you don't have a solution yet, you're working on it and will share more when you have clear solutions would at least buy some extra time. Of course, for that to be palatable for the players, it would have required them to actually acknowledge all of the issues.
This is so
Interestingly,
fucking shitty.
While they kinda acknowledged how angry fans are over the removal of the original opening of the game, their statement on that is very awkwardly worded. Their statement focuses on the dress itself and assures us that the dress was never intended to be removed from the game. This may not be their intention here, but to me, this still reads as if the game's original opening is gone, and they just intend to smooth over the rough edges between the new one and the rest of the game. They also state that they were unable to properly refine the introduction due to technical hurdles. Frankly, that is no excuse. This isn't an early access title. Game companies should not release shoddy, half-finished work and try to pass it off as a quality product. People who have looked through the game's files have claimed that there were hints pointing towards a couple more major map expansions before the scope of the narrative would open up to the wider multiverse. It sure sounds like their leadership drastically changed plans, and this whole mess was the inevitable result. They also mentioned some future plans, new gameplay which is actually tested before it's released, performance and stability fixes, and so on, but they led that part by saying they're expanding their cumulative top-up rewards. In other words, yet more monetization. It feels utterly bizarre that they've included this. I've seen some speculation that it's due to some whales complaining that they don't get enough in exchange for their support, while others think that it could be due to a misunderstanding of the complaints around the spending event that I mentioned earlier. But either way, an apology letter is not the time to announce new incentives for players to throw money at them. They ask for our patience and trust, but at this...
Yeah, we're really sorry. Anyways, we invented all these new systems where you can give us more of your money that we definitely earned. Can you see how sorry we are? Oh, guys, hold on. Can I get a couple more $100 so I can buy tissues to wipe my tears with? This is so disingenuous.
At this point, I don't think there's much of that left. They also announced a new initiative which will provide a new way for them to...
No, this is huge, guys. I mean, this is huge. I mean, guys, I want to remind you, this video has 300,000 views in a day, and the previous video on this got over 800,000 views over 2 weeks. Like, this is a big fucking deal. Like, Infinity Nikki, I'm not kidding you, like, it's fucking cooked. Like, Dish is probably on suicide watch, man.
Collect player feedback. It's unclear.
And the problem with this is, and I'm going to be real, Saru's, I'm going to call it, yes, Saru's also calls this out, which is, and you guys will never surprise the issue that we're having. JP agrees, CN agrees, EN agrees. Can you guess what part of people who could be outspoken about this aren't doing? The content creators. The content creators are once again not talking about this issue, and that's why all views are going to Saru's, and Saru's just wants more people to talk about this issue that are happening in game, so that's why I'm here to at least spread awareness of how fucking bullshit this is. Because for some reason, and she believes that it's due to NDA and not wanting to run the company the wrong way, I'm sorry, why would you want to appease a company that's fucking over its players? Why would you want to do that?
Clear why this would be necessary, given that they already have customer support channels built into the game itself, plus a regular survey system with free text inputs for open feedback, and customer support via email as well. Maybe they really are looking to create a feedback cycle which is more meaningful, but many people understandably feel that this is just a way to redirect frustrated players away from more public forums. At first glance, it doesn't look all that great. The in-game form has a limit of mere 500 characters. You can send the feedback in via email instead, but considering the scale of the issues, that limit is a really odd decision. Maybe that's just an oversight caused by copying the code from somewhere else. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And finally, they did announce some extra compensation, 120 diamonds per day for 8 days. 8 pulls. Not even
8 days for 8 polls, and you got to log in every day. Got to get those player retention numbers up. Yeah, you don't get to log in once. You got to come back full swing to get this shit. That is so bullshit. They want those daily login numbers so fucking bad.
in a full 10 poll. Personally, I don't care all that much about the size of the compensation offered for its own sake. I want an open acknowledgement of the issues and for them to share a clear path towards fixing all of
Absolutely.
them. However, in this kind of situation, the size of the compensation is a very clear signal for how seriously they take the complaints. Giving out so little is not a good look. And worse,
Absolutely.
the way this is worded implies that we'll have to log into the game on each of those 8 days in order to receive the compensation.
Bullshit.
That's bad enough at the best of times.
Absolutely.
Right now, it comes across as an attempt to break the girl code and get people back in the habit of logging
Yep.
in every day. It also feels important to highlight that a mere hour after posting this apology on their Twitter, they followed up with 8 posts about the outfits in the upcoming banners. This makes the apology look far from genuine.
Yeah, 'cause
There's
they're drowning it
absolutely
out.
nothing about it which suggests that it could
They're
not
just
have been
posting
posted a
through
day
it.
earlier, for example, which would have let it stand at the top of their profile for what would feel like a bare minimum amount of
Yeah, they should have pinned it. If they actually meant it, they would have fucking pinned it.
time before it got buried under all the new screenshots. While these are probably scheduled posts, that really is no excuse, and this feels like yet another subtle way the company are trying to bury the situation and act like everything
This is almost as bad as Helioverse. Not as bad as Helioverse, though.
is totally normal. As you can see, there is a lot that they did not address. Their point on the retcon was confusing at best, and aside from that, they mostly focused on the bugs and some promises to do better in the future. They didn't mention the biggest complaints many of us had, the increased
By the way, did you guys notice how not a single person here said, "Why do you care you don't play the game?" Yet when I talk about Hoyo games, they say, "Why do you care you don't even play the game?" That's crazy, right? Yeah, you want to know why that is? Because the Hoyo community, a bunch of fucking brainwashed monkeys. Not a single damn person typed that shit. Yet the moment you say anything about Hoyo, "Why do you even care, dude? Why do you even care? Shut up! Shut up, dude! Shut up!"
stupidity, the awful monetization of the dying
Imagine
feature,
that.
the fake discount, the endgame rewards, the spending event, or even the disappearing currency and the poor response it garnered from their customer support team. Even if they fix the plague of bugs and smooth over the weird transition between the new opening and the rest of the game and add the original outfit to the story somewhere later on, this is far from what fans are demanding, and it's nowhere near enough for people to feel that it's a viable compromise. And that's ignoring the mildly insulting way they seem to have set up the compensation to be such a low amount distributed only if you log in for a week straight. It also bears highlighting that several of the points here are explicitly against laws in numerous countries, and there is even
Yep.
more than that which is illegal as well. There's a post on
Yep.
the subreddit by SpiderB8 which covers this in great detail, and if you're
And they absolutely should be reported by everybody. I hope this game fucking end of services. The players deserve better. By the way, Infinity Nikki players, if you want something that'll actually appease the same game as Infinity Nikki, just go play Astrobot. Astrobot's great, but you have to have a PS5 to have that. If you don't have a PS5, play Balatro. Balatro's great.
curious, it's well worth reading. I've included the link in the description. For example, it mentions the hidden drop rates. People have long suspected that hairs and dresses are far less likely to drop than the less desirable items, ensuring that on average, people have to spend more to get the more valuable items.
Fuck
Apparently,
that.
a data miner discovered the code which set those drop rates, which put hair and dresses at a little over 4%, shoes and socks at 9.5%, and accessories at
If that's not disclosed in the game, that is super illegal. Super illegal. Honestly, a chargeback and never play again situation, I absolutely agree.
almost 14%. This is exactly the kind of hidden weights to tip the odds which have been explicitly regulated against in several countries, and it's absolutely wild if Infold are really doing this, or any of the other things they're accused of doing. This long overdue announcement was, unfortunately, inadequate. There's a huge gulf between what Infold are trying to do and
Oh,
what
yeah.
the fans feel would be acceptable, even for the parts that the company have addressed.
Yep.
And the vast majority of the issues that the fans care the most about were not mentioned at all. I also continue to find it a bit annoying that they're communicating this as from the dev team. This is a leadership issue, and the management themselves should take ownership and discuss this publicly. Sadly, there's clearly nobody there who can hold them accountable. I guess it's up to fans to keep protesting, to keep raising awareness, and to keep demanding that the company change their ways. If they
I absolutely agree. Sarus is fucking amazing. I will say this, just to give you guys a little bit of a tip. Planning a day where you don't play won't do anything. Skipping 3 days on banners won't do anything. You have to quit the game until it's fixed. Quit the game. Don't come back until you're happy and proud to play that game. And if you don't, you're wasting your time. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully I can spread some awareness on this bullshit that Infinity Nikki players are going through right now. And actually, hearts go out to you guys. That sucks ass.